Hey guys, I'm Bobby Rio, and I've got another video lesson for you today in this series on eliminating nice guy habits and passing women's secret tests. So in today's video lesson, I'm going to be talking about how to pass these tests, how to pass a girl's test, because whether you realize it or not, every time you're dealing with a woman, whether it's a conversation or whether it's over a period of a blossoming new relationship, she's going to be testing you. And there's several reasons why she does this, right? And that's what we're going to be talking about in this video today. Why does she test you? The first reason that a woman is going to test you is because you're trying too hard. You're coming across as a little try-hard, and she senses that maybe you're not being yourself around her. Maybe you're not who you say you are. Maybe you're putting on this nice guy act, and anytime she senses this incongruency, right, an inconsistency in your behavior or how she perceives you, she's gonna start testing you. No matter how much you feel like you're being yourself, and no matter how comfortable you feel in the situation, you probably have given a couple signals off. You've probably sent some sort of signal to a woman that you're putting on an act. And maybe you're acting a little bit more confident than you usually would. Maybe she senses that normally you're a little bit more shy than you're acting around her. Or maybe you're trying to be a little funnier than you normally are. Or maybe some aspect of your personality gets a little exaggerated, and it sends a red flag that maybe this guy isn't exactly the person he's portraying himself as. See, a lot of guys wonder, why does it seem like women like assholes? Or why do women like bad boys, right? Why do nice guys finish last? A lot of it is because these assholes, these bad boys, they naturally pass a woman's tests. The reason they do is because they're not really trying to impress her. So they're being themselves. There's a little bit more honesty in their actions. A lot of guys go, I don't want to have to be an asshole, and I don't want to act fake around women, and I don't want to pretend to be someone that I'm not. But what they don't realize is that being the nice guy, you're actually being more dishonest than these guys are. You're actually pretending to be someone you're not. These guys are being real, and she picks up on that. She picks up on them not trying to press her, they don't have an agenda. Now she can let her guard down because she's like, this guy's not really trying to impress me. And something clicks in her mind, and she's like, maybe I should be paying a little bit more attention to him, to this guy. Maybe I should be trying to impress him, Whereas the nice guy, she's like, I don't really have to impress him. What I want you to do is, I want you to think real quick about a guy that you know. Maybe it's yourself, right? Who on the surface, he's good looking, he's kind of cool, he's funny, he dresses good. He does get some girls here and there, but never the women he really wants, never that girl he really wants. And you really can't figure it out. You go, what's his flaw? Why does he have such trouble getting to that next level of girls? And I can almost guarantee it's because he's giving off a vibe that makes girls test him even more, and he's not passing those tests. He's sending out some bit of incongruency, and the second a girl will test you, because she senses you might get clingy, or if she looks at you, or she hooks up with you, and she's like, yeah, this guy, he might get a little clingy with me. This is something that I think is every girl's worst nightmare. If you have any female friends or even past girlfriends, and you've spoken to them about this, you see it, right? It's kind of weird, but one of my favorite things to talk about with girls sometimes, especially on dates, is bringing up funny dating stories, dating blooper stories. And a lot of the times, if you'll talk to girls about just horrible dates they had, or horrible experience with guys that they went on dates with, or especially guys they met online, those are some of the best. It's usually because the guy got super needy or super clingy, and it goes into, he starts almost stalking her, right? Where it becomes comical after the fact. But when a girl's living through this, I'm sure it's horrific, right? And you don't want to be the guy who's giving girls these horrific, needy experiences where she's like, how am I going to get rid of this guy, right? This is why it's not a bad idea to bring it up in almost a preemptive way, in a sense, right? Even a comment like, you're not going to become one of those stalker girls, right? If I give you on a date, you're not going to be one of those girls like text me 100 times a day, or you're not going to be showing up at my work or like sending me flowers all day. By saying that to her, what you're kind of doing is you're acknowledging that you've dealt with it, and you're kind of saying, I'm not that kind of guy. You're saying that to her, and it's really a preemptive move, which I think is really, really good, because now she knows that you have that social intelligence. But let's talk about the last one, right? I'm going to admit that I've been really guilty of this one. Really, really guilty. And that's when you're trying too hard to be cool, and she's trying to sense if there's any kinks in your armor, so to speak, right? Because you're just coming across almost like you're too cool, and she's like, is this guy for real? Because he doesn't really seem this confident. Is he really this confident, or is he putting on an act? And she wants to know. To me, when I was learning some of this stuff, I knew, from reading books and whatever, I knew that I had to act more confident. And I knew that I had to project this sort of carefree vibe. But at the time, years ago, it wasn't real, right? It was fake. Like, I really wasn't confident. And girls would throw a simple comment out there, and, I'd go in with this, mighty attitude, and one little comment, and my whole facade would just crumble. Because she would say something, right? I had a girl, and we're flirting, and she goes, I'm not going to hook up with you tonight. Simple comment like that, which is an example of a test. And all of a sudden, I didn't know how to react to that. I'm like stumbling over my words, and she looked at me, and I started backpedaling and everything. And, everything that I had going for me up until that second was gone when she made one comment, because my whole facade crumbled. It's that moment where you falter. That's when you get tested. It's like, boom. It's almost like she can hear that thought in your head, and she's like, oh, time to test this guy, because I don't think he's the way he really is. I've got to see. And she throws out a little comment, and boom. It happened to me all the time when I was trying to pretend that I was cooler than I was. And as soon as the girl started realizing this might not be the guy he really is, I would get locked out. I'm not going to hook up with you. I'd hear a girl say, do you say this to all the girls? I had one girl tell me I spit when I talk, and I was just like, now you let that roll off you. But at the time, a comment like that, when I think back on it, it's ridiculous, and I laugh over it now because I realized I was being tested. But at the time, I just felt like she pulled out all the wind out of my sails. Like, my game was over. I just went into this tailspin where I would just try to backpedal and try to validate myself, or I try to prove why I was this great guy, which would just, of course, make it so much worse for me. And, of course, I would lose the girl. Girls do this, whether it's an initial conversation where she's flirting with you at a bar or a party, or even a girl at work, and she's trying to feel you out. They also do it a lot when there's a courtship going on. Whether, when you've got her number, maybe you've gone out with her a couple times, maybe you've gone on a date, you're trying to move things from dating to a relationship, if that's what you're after. And it happens a lot there. And having coached men now for over 11 years, what I found is there's almost always a moment when the girl pulls back. Always. All of a sudden, she was answering all your texts really fast. And then, boom, 2 days have gone by. She still hasn't replied to a text. You're pulling your phone out of your pocket, wondering what the hell's going on. Or maybe she was always available to hang out, right? Every time you asked her to hang out, it was like, oh, yeah, definitely. Always available. Oh, yeah, I'm free. Like, no matter what you asked her to do, she was available. And then all of a sudden now she's like, oh, I can't. What she's ultimately doing here, and it's going on subconsciously, right, is she's going, everything with this guy was great when I was validating him, when I was laughing at his jokes, when I was into him. But how is it when things aren't going so smooth, right? How does he act when I can't hang out? It's really easy to be that guy when she's giggling, when she's texting back right away, she's showing up to dates on time, she's agreeing with everything you're saying, and she's always available to hang out. It's really easy to be that confident guy and to pretend you're that confident. You're not even pretending at that point. Because you feel, I mean, I'm the Dos Equis guy when that's happening. I'm like the most interesting guy in the world. Everything I'm saying is awesome, and, girl, I'm just rolling with it, right? But your real self comes out when she pulls that back, and she knows that. Here's what happens when she pulls it back. Before she does, you might be on a 12 on a scale of 1 to 10 about how you feel about yourself, right? When she's giving you that instant validation, when she always wants to hang out with you, when she's responding right away, when she just seems super into you, you feel like a 12 on a scale of 1 to 10. You feel like the king of the fucking world. It feels good. I love that feeling. It feels like a natural high. Then, all of a sudden, boom, she pulls that rug from under you and it's all gone. Now you go from being a 12 to being a 2, and you're like, what the fuck? And now you're scurrying. You're in this reel of trying to get back that feeling because it felt really good when she was into you. It felt really good when a girl's into you, especially if she's a girl you really like. If it's a girl you've wanted or a girl that you click with, it's all about one word. And that word is certainty. When you're very certain about the way she feels about you, it's very easy to be on, to be playing the game right. When that certainty goes away, you fall into what we call, Rob Judge and I, my buddy and partner, emotional quicksand. When all of the sudden, you don't know what's going on. I get coaching clients all the time, and they call me up. They're in emotional quicksand. You're not on stable ground. You're clawing back to her. You're making every mistake in the book. What happens when you're clawing back to her is, in your mind, you're convincing yourself, I really like this girl. I don't want to lose her. She's the only girl for me. I need to get her back. If I don't get her back, my life is going to be over. I'm never going to find another girl like this. I need to do whatever I can. And you make every mistake, Meanwhile, because you have that attitude and you're making these mistakes, you're just pushing her further away. She was actually probably just going to text you back like an hour ago, but then you started texting her, did I do something wrong? What happened? And she's getting these. And the minute she gets like, are you still alive? Is everything okay? You just pushed her back. Now, the interesting thing about this whole thing that I discovered, right, is that this idea of certainty and stable ground and emotional quicksand is just as effective on a woman. What guys can do is what we call, a lot of guys say, well, how do I pass her tests, right? And there's plenty of ways. In this series, we're going to get further into it. We can always give you examples of how to pass a test. But even more powerful than that is beginning to test a woman yourself, because when you're into her, she feels like she's a 12 on the scale of 1 to 10. She feels like the queen of the world, and she feels good. She's like, I got this guy, right? Then when you pull the rug out from under her, she's the one scurrying, right? She's the one going, I need to get this guy back. I can't lose this guy. This guy's so great. I need him. I need to get this guy back, right? I must really like this guy. I must really, really like him. And the question is, how do you do that, right? How do you get her in that frame of mind? That's what me and my friend Rob Judge figured out. In the next video, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it. We put together a video for you where we're going to teach you 4 things that women are conditioned to chase. She can't help it. It's in her DNA. It's an instinct in her. We call it scrambling her mind, and maybe you've had that point where your mind has been scrambled. And imagine when the woman's testing you, and you're sitting at home going, why isn't she calling me back, right? You're decoding her behavior, with your friends, and you're calling your friends, and you're going, dude, she's not answering my text. What do you think happened? Do you think she's seeing somebody else? She texted this. What does it mean? We're going to teach you how to put a girl in that position. The reason that we teach this, and some people say, well, isn't that games, right? Or, I don't want to do manipulation like that. Isn't that, whatever. This is what a girl wants. You have to understand this. This is what a girl and a woman, this is what they want. This is what turns them on. This is what they're attracted to. Women like mystery. She likes being in a position where she has to figure you out. She wants to work to win you over. So you might have heard me say, once a woman figures you out, it's over and you'll never have her. Well, fortunately, the opposite is true. If a girl can't figure you out, she's going to be fighting for your attention. She's going to be working to win you over. We put this video together where we're going to show you 4 steps to get her fighting for your attention. Click the link below to watch that video, and we're going to teach you this mind game that we call the scrambler. That's going to show you exactly what to do to get her scrambling for your attention. So watch that video and look out for our next lesson in this Anti-Nice Guy series.